The Dental Brief is brought to you by Omni Premier Marketing and the amazing guests who bring wisdom and advice that you can put to use to take your business and practices to the next level. Find us on Facebook and join the conversation. Get ready to grow because we are kicking off the next episode in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Dental Brief. I'm excited to have a returning guest back on the program. It's a prior episode, it's one of my favorite episodes for dentists to listen to and to hear. There's so much great information. It's going to be another great show. Mr. Jay Malik, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, you're an accountant, right? You help dentists with their books, with their, not bookkeeping, but with their taxes, structuring tax liabilities. Tell me a little bit about your background. How'd you get involved with dentists in the first place?
Well, when I started my practice decades ago, I found out very quickly that there were certain type of people, certain professionals who I could help the most. And it turned out they were all doctors. So I said, okay, I'm going to specialize in working with doctors only. So I started working with doctors, did very well. Then about 13, 14 years ago, Affordable Care Act came along, and many of the practices, the bigger groups started buying them, the bigger hospitals and all that.
Right.
Or private equity firms came and bought them. So they had their own accountant, they didn't need my services. So I limited my practice to dentists and chiropractors. So I still have some chiropractors from that area, but then soon I decided, I'm going to work only with dentists.
Sure.
So that's how I've been doing for, God knows, many years now. As I said, I have very few chiropractors left from my previous life, but now I only market with the dentists and, work with dentists.
Yep.
That's where I make the most difference. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. So a big part of this program, as you know, is helping dentists build better businesses, build better practices, have more freedom. I think is a big subject that we like to talk about. Taxes are a big part of this, right? I mean, you have, and we've talked about this before, and we'll get into the subject of the show here in a minute, but you can have two dentists in the same area with the same expenses in the non-tax expenses, the same income, relatively same income, and one is taking home a significant amount of money over the other, or has a significant amount of money left when they retire, or has accumulated a significant amount of wealth. Tell me, how does that happen? Why does that happen, and how does it happen?
Well, it is interesting. I have noticed that in the profession of dentistry, the people generally, one thing they don't do is, and that is true probably generally as well for dentistry, I've noticed, they don't sit down, okay, and actually spend time and think through and say, okay, what I want to be my financial life to be, okay, where I want to be, how do I want to get there? And if I want the financial life to be this particular way, this much money I want at this point, whatnot, will it make me actually happy? Is this what I want from my life? To work how many hours to get there? How many years to get there? That I think is key for not only a dentist, but for anybody to do that. And that is not, normally in the society as well, that is not done as much. So I am older now, and what I have found is that one thing is the one which helps the most. People who end up with more money are the ones who focused upfront more on the type of life they want to live, and then fit in their money piece into it.
Sure.
Okay, how can I get that money? Okay, so that's a huge thing which in my view causes the difference. And by the way, I see differences which are amazing in income and asset level of dentists. I know doctors who are like 70 years old, they can't stop working because they don't have any assets left, right?
Sure.
And I also have 40-year-old dentists who are doing very well. And if they keep doing this like this in even 5 to 7 years, they wouldn't have to work.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying one is happier than the other and one is living the life of their dreams, but money wise only, I have this whole, variety.
Yep. So tell us a little bit about your strategy and your process that you work through with dentists. What does that look like?
Well, the way I work is that any dentist who meets me, I tell them, okay, I specialize in creating tax strategies and I will do a free analysis of your tax return. Send me your last tax return. I wouldn't charge you anything. I will sit down with you 1 hour at a time for 2 times. The first meeting, I will ask you questions, understand the story behind the numbers. And the second one, I'll come back and I'll share with you what are the weaknesses in your tax return where you are losing money, okay, where you can save money legally by using other tax saving strategies. So that's the first step I do with anybody and doesn't cost anything. So what happens is some of those people who do this with me, they decide to work with me.
Sure.
So when they do sign up, then I create a personalized tax strategy for every dentist. And then which I present to them, get their okay on that, so we can start implementing it. Once we have the personalized tax strategy, we start, implementing it in their bookkeeping. We do the bookkeeping here for all our dentists who work with us. We do payroll processing from here. That helps a lot to make it correct and make it more tax efficient. And then we do that. But while we set it up and do that, then I start having meetings with them to create an overall life financial plan. Okay. These are a number of meetings, an hour each, which doctor and their spouse sit on the other side, I sit on this side, and I ask questions. And that helps us get to and this is the piece which, in my opinion, is most important to achieving your financial goals. And most people have not done it. It's a long process, and it's not a one-time process. The other thing that, although I build this life plan and give it to them in the beginning, but then we monitor it. It's like a baseline. We monitor it every quarter, every year. So whether they are getting closer to it or not, or whether their life changes, situation changes, their views change. So that is how it starts. Then after that, every month they get reports from us. Our clients get them reports from us. So, and I show them teach them how to read. If I find anything unusual in any month, I or one of my associates calls them and we explain it to them. Every quarter, all the doctors who work with me, we meet in a meeting like this. And we go over the numbers for the practice and see how they are doing against their financial plan they had.
Sure.
And then at the end of the year, we do it again. So it's like a cycle which keeps running constantly.
Right.
So that is the process, basically.
Yeah. So, by the way, to schedule a tax analysis with Jay, visit lesstaxfordentist.com. So check out that website. When you do these tax analysis with people, and I'm going to ask you for 3 mistakes, but we'll do them one at a time so we can talk about the solution for the mistake. When you do these analysis and you look at prior years' tax returns, what's one of the top 3 mistakes that you see that were made that cost us a significant amount of money?
For the first mistake which I noticed is almost always is that they have not gotten this analysis done before.
Sure. Yeah. Waiting too long.
Years have happened and they have been repeating the same mistakes again and again and again. And they have had problems.
Right.
Okay? If they're done it, that's the number one. They don't do that. Get that done earlier. The second one is that they do not work with somebody who knows dentistry,
right,
who knows the ins and outs, and can get them advantage over there,
right,
and can help them, straighten out their affairs right and use to lower the tax burden. And the third one, if I am going that route, is again not having an overall, not fitting in this in their plan. Say somebody, I'll give you a rough example. For example, somebody who's maximizing putting money into their retirement account, right? And it turns out their goal actually is to own multiple practices.
Right.
That you can see the conflict there, right?
Sure.
So where should the money be going?
Right.
Okay. Where should be? That is the and the so that actually comes in if you have the overall plan, overall strategy. And other thing which I noticed is that people not having an idea about what is their net worth now.
Sure. Do
Many people don't
typically significantly overestimate or underestimate their net worth?
actually many doctors underestimate. I've noticed.
Underestimate it, yeah.
Yeah,
They
underestimate their
actually
net
worth
worth.
more than they think they are.
And they overestimate the money they need in future.
Right. They overestimate or underestimate?
Oh, many times they overestimate. They think
Overestimate it.
that, okay, I need to. I hear this a lot. I say, okay, how much money do you need in a month to live on if you are not working in dentistry, right? Many times I hear these exorbitant numbers, $25,000, $35,000. And I say, okay, that's good. Let's break it down. Tell me, how do you spend that money?
Right.
And I start writing down it, right? Nobody has ever reached $35,000.
Right.
So
It's
they
pretty,
overestimate the spend and the need, and then underestimate what their net worth is.
right.
So that causes a dissonance also. Okay, maybe how can I get there? And there people are like running around, all worried and all stressed out, which many times it comes out they don't need to be.
Right. Yeah. That I see that. I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. So to book with you, again, go to lesstaxfordentist.com. I want to make sure we get that. But we've got a couple of minutes left. Anything else that you want to share during these few minutes?
Yeah, I normally ask everybody who talks to me is that to keep things in perspective, money is important, but it is not the most important thing. 95+% of dentists are overpaying in tax. This is what I found out when they send their tax returns to me.
Let's just stop there for a second. You said 95% of dentists are overpaying.
Yes.
95.
Yes. I have only 5% dentists who tax return to me whom I cannot suggest something that they do to lower their tax burden.
Right.
95% that they can do something which they are not doing.
Wow. That's significant. And we talked before, and you told me that according to your experience and research and studies of the average dentist over the course of their lifetime, their career, will pay $1 million in more taxes than they actually need to. $1 million.
Yes.
Yeah, that's mind blowing.
That is true. And it goes a little by little, and they don't realize, and they end up with this. So it's a process. See, the other thing is in life, anything, if we want something, we have to pay attention to it. We have to spend some time on it, work on it.
Right.
So if somebody wants to solve this tax problem, and by implication, when you solve the tax problem, you're solving the money problem in your life. If somebody wants to do that, they have to give time to it, attention to it, spend some time on. You can't just expect that somebody will do the bookkeeping for you, and it will be all right. And you're then once a year, your accountant will do your tax return, and it will be done. It will be all right.
Sure.
Nah, you need to pay a little bit more. It needs a little bit more involvement.
Right. Yep. Makes sense to me. One more time, I want to throw the website out there, lesstaxfordentist.com. Schedule your tax analysis. You can do it right there. Working with quality dental accountants, something that is invaluable. Jay, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate your time, and thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate talking to you.